بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. The first verses I'm going to recite are from chapter 81, verses 8 and 9. This is Surah Takwir. وَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ بِأَيِّ ذَنبٍ قُتِلَتْ. And when the one buried alive is asked, for what sin was he killed? And the other verse I want to recite to you is from chapter 5, verse 91. إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ الشَّيْطَانُ أَن يُوقِعَ بَيْنَكُمُ الْعَدَاوَةَ وَالْبَغْضَاءَ فِي الْخَمْرِ وَالْمَيْسِرِ وَيَصُدَّكُمْ عن ذكر الله وعن الصلاة فهل أنتم منتهون. The devil desires only to create enmity and hatred among you by means of intoxicants and games of chance, and to keep you back from the remembrance of Allah and from prayer. Will you then keep back? Sadaqallahul Aliyyul Azim. I have given this sermon the title East or West, Islam is the best. Because neither East nor West are free from problems and difficulties to which Islam provides a solution. I want to read out to you. The first verse I recited was about killing of girls in Arabia at the time of the Holy Prophet Muhammad. And what people used to do was, if a girl was born, she would be buried alive. The companion of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked what was the hardest time in his life, and he said that his wife had a girl, and he picked up the girl and took her to the desert outside the town, and he dug a hole to put the girl in the hole and bury her alive. And the baby got hold of his finger or thumb and started looking at him and smiling. But he still put that girl in that hole and covered it up and killed her. You would think that this happened 1500 years ago. How is it relevant now? Now I want to read an extract from you from the Telegraph. And it says, on a side street, almost out of sight, the cradle swings gently in the breeze. It looks like it has been forgotten until you see the hand-painted sign illuminated by the harsh street light above. Don't kill your baby. Leave it here. Leave them here. It reads, these are the cradles for the unwanted. So has anything changed in 1500 years? Girls were being killed then, and they're being killed now. And this is what the Holy Quran refers to. And many people say, well, that was 1500 years ago. It doesn't happen now. Yes, it does. And then he goes on. The court is one of around 300 dotted around Pakistani cities, part of the Jula or Cradle project, which aims to tackle the country's woeful record on infant femicide, killing of female infants. Mothers can leave their unwanted baby here in the knowledge that they will be safely collected and taken care of. The Jula project was created by Bilqis Eidi, a former nurse who ran the Eidi Foundation alongside her husband, a vast public welfare organization which includes ambulance services and homeless shelters. But Mrs. Eidi, who passed away last month, will be remembered most for the Jula initiative. Dubbed the Mother of Pakistan, she has been credited with saving the lives of more than 20,000 baby girls since launching the project in the early 70s. And there was also the incident in India where outside a hospital they were digging for some reason, and they came across the body of a baby. And then they dug more, and then there was another one. And then they dug more, and there was another one. And to their astonishment, hundreds of bodies of baby girls were found. And what was happening? Women were giving birth in that hospital. It was a maternity hospital. And if it was a girl, the father or the mother-in-law would take it outside behind the hospital and bury it. Buried alive, buried while crying and clinging to them. Talk about people not having any hearts. So has anything changed in the last 1500 years? Nothing has changed. The Holy Quran gave a place of honor to women. There is a hadith of the Holy Prophet Muhammad which says that a father who has a girl, who treats her well, who educates her. Listen to the words, who educates her, will be rewarded many times for this deed. But nowadays, in some countries, education of women is forbidden. Women who go to school are beaten, and they are treated as immoral women. This is not restricted to one country. There are many, many countries in the East, whether they're Muslims or not. This hospital that I told you about in India, it was mostly Hindu women, Hindu babies to which it was happening. And in Pakistan, the extract that I read out to you is Muslims who were doing this. And there were many reasons for leaving those children there. Apart from girls, if a baby was born and the baby was handicapped, they would kill that baby. But this foundation put this chula, this cot, this cradle, and said, don't kill your baby. The sign there that I read out, don't kill your baby. Put it here. Leave them here. And you know, there have been remarkable stories. The article carries on, and it has the story of a girl who was left in this cradle. And she was picked up and she was adopted by an American couple. And she went to America. And she was educated. And now she has a very high job in an American company. You don't know what that baby can achieve, whether able or disabled. You see, let me tell you one thing. If you say to such people, we've done a test, and your baby is likely to have this syndrome or that syndrome, the baby will have a very hard life. You will have a very hard life. Would you consider abortion? And these people would jump up and down. And they say, no, this is haram, this is that. God grants whatever God wants. That's the best thing. You can't have an abortion. There's an example of a similar situation where these people went to their religious leader and he said, I will pray. God can do everything. He will heal this baby in the womb. And the baby was born. And as the doctors had predicted, the baby was disabled. And the parents had a very hard time trying to bring up that baby. And that baby, because of the physical disabilities and mental disabilities and so on, is having a very difficult life. Now, these people say abortion is haram, don't abort. But then when the baby is born, the incident I told you about is in the UK. And these people say abortion is haram and so on. And then when this baby is born, they kill it themselves. So what's the difference? Explain to me, please, what is the difference? In many countries, the government has banned the test to find out the baby's gender. Because what was happening was that people would go in and they'll have the test, they'll find out that it's a girl, and then they'd have an abortion. How is that any different? How is that any different from what the Arabs were doing before the Holy Prophet Muhammad? That they were taking their girls out into the desert and burying them alive. There's no difference. It's just that to kill that child, to kill that baby girl, you're just using a more advanced technique. That is all. But Islam provided a solution. Islam made the life of a woman an example for us. And Muslims forget. Had it not been for Hazrat Khadija Raziyallahu Ta'ala, it may be that Islam wouldn't have prospered. The Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wouldn't have had the time to propagate Islam in the way that he did. She supported him. Not just moral support, but also she was a rich lady. She supported the Muslim community with her money. And when people talk about women in these countries, they forget that. Initially, it was a woman's support that established Islam on a firm basis. And yet, in this day and age, in places like Pakistan, girls are being killed. For what reason? Simply because they're girls. And even those who are not killed physically, they're killed intellectually. They're not allowed to go to school. They're not allowed to think. They're not allowed to make any decisions. So one way or the other, these girls are being killed. And yet in Islam, we see that a large part of religion, nearly 2/3 of our religion came to us through a woman, Hazrat Aisha Radhiyallahu Ta'ala. The leaders, the Khalifas would consult her, especially on about women's issues. There was a woman who was crying and Hazrat Umar asked why, and he was told that, well, she married and her husband's gone off to fight and she's alone and she misses him. What did Hazrat Umar do? He went to Hazrat Aisha and asked for her advice. And she said, well, you shouldn't separate a man and wife for more than 3 months. So you should rotate your regimens. And this system was put into practice. But we forget all of that. And that has become a serious problem in these countries. And then we have the other verse that I recited to you. The devil desires only to create enmity and hatred among you by means of intoxicants and games of chance, and keep you back from remembrance of Allah and prayer. That is becoming as big a problem in the West as female infanticide is in the East. And you would say, how are the two comparable? I would say they're comparable because a person who becomes addicted to gambling, he's an addict, just like an alcoholic or a heroin addict or anything else. He would much rather starve his wife and children rather than not take his next drink or next fix. And it's the same with these people. And it wasn't too bad until you had casinos and so on, and people had to go there and gamble. But now gambling is in your home. If you have satellite television, there are channels dedicated to gambling. If you have internet, you can access even more gambling facilities. And you know what makes me laugh? As you flick through channels, looking for a program, sometimes you come across a channel that partially broadcasts programs and partially broadcasts, gambling and so on. You know what they say? The first screen says, please gamble responsibly. It's like saying to an alcoholic, please drink responsibly. And then you click and off you go gambling. And people gamble away their livelihood, their salaries. You know, not long ago, men used to bet their wives and their daughters and their sisters when they gambled. Then they ran out of money. They would say, I'll give you my sister, I'll give you my daughter. This is how much respect they had for the women of the house. And recently what happened was that a very bright person, I think maybe it might have been during COVID, he was very bright. He had a bright future. He was going places. And during the lockdown, he became addicted to gambling. He ran up huge debts. And then he committed suicide. It was online gambling. The same websites and the same TV channels that tell us to do what? Yes, gamble responsibly. I used to give 1 day a week to Citizens Advice Bureau. And one day a Muslim came. And he had lots of debts. How had he run up those debts? By gambling. Anyway, I helped him and I managed to have all his debts written off. So he had a clean slate. He had nothing to worry about. And about a year, 18 months later, I saw him again in the waiting room. And when he saw me coming, he tried to hide. So I went to the reception and I asked the lady, the receptionist, why was he here? And she said, he has huge debts which he cannot pay. He was addicted. It becomes a disease. Alcohol becomes a disease. But gambling also becomes a disease, an illness. And Islam is simple. Islam's solution is simple: ban it. Don't let people gamble. End of story. This is why I gave this khutbah the title, East or West, Islam is best. But what we have to remember is this: we don't pay lip service to Islam and the guidance in the Holy Quran and the guidance in the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Don't pay lip service. We actually put these commands into effect, into our lives, into our societies, into our countries. Only then will our problems be solved. Barakallahu lana wa lakum fil Qur'anil azim wa nafa'ana wa iyyakum bil ayati wa zikril hakim innahu ta'ala jawadun karimun malikun barraufur rahim. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi wa na'udzu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. Man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlilhu fala hadiya lahu. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم انصر من نصر دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم واجعلنا منهم، واخذل من خذل دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ولا تجعلنا منهم. عباد الله رحمكم الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. Allahu Akbar, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Hayya as-salah, hayya al-falah, qad qamatis salat, qad qamatis salat. Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah. Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفره إنه كان توابا الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده ربنا لك الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده ربنا الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر التحيات أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله اللهم صل على محمد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة أستغفر الله أستغفر الله أستغفر الله Hello and Tabarak. Thank you for joining us for today's Friday service. We take our leave of you with the prayer that whoever you are, regardless of your religion, nationality, color, creed, sect, may Allah keep the whole of humanity under His protection and free from harm. Until we meet again, Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, and goodbye.